This emotion is literally the most destructive emotions humans can experience, right? This emotion even lessens your willpower, and it invigorates people who could potentially be great people. It actually invigorates them to become more aggressive and to take advantage of you, right? And that emotion is fear. Fear is literally the most destructive emotion when it comes to having presence of mind and keeping your mind straight in the midst of chaos. Why? Because fear thrives in the unknown, especially when people start acting unpredictably. If you have fear and this underlying fear, in other words, you're suppressing your fear, those types of unpredictable people will cause emotions that come out in you where you can't control yourself. And you'll rationalize breaking all of the rules in this channel, all because you don't want to confront the fear. And that fear comes in many ways: fear of losing a person, fear of being alone, fear of never finding somebody that's similar to this person, right? Why? Because this happens because fear activates the imagination. Fear activates your mental dialogue to the nth degree, right? So even before, and another thing is that even before doing anything, even before meeting the person, fear causes you to walk on eggshells, right? Because fear becomes the foundation, the ground that you walk on. Everything you do is out of fear of losing the person, fear of being alone. All of those things dictate it. And because of that, you're going to be walking on eggshells. A person, especially people who are manipulators, especially really toxic people, they can sense fear better than most people. People who are not that toxic, they don't sense fear that much, you know. But people who are toxic have an incredible ability to sense when somebody is afraid of losing them, right? And walks around in fear. Why? Because when you are afraid, it limits your options. When you are afraid, it limits the behavior that you're willing to do. Why? Because you don't want to do things that activates this fear. Maybe being alone activates this fear. Maybe the person leaving you activates this fear. So because of that, you lessen your options, but you also expand the option of the other person because they know you are afraid of losing them. And you may try to hide this fear, but the self is always coming through. Eventually, if they know you long enough, you're going to send out those signals through your nonverbal cues. It's just undeniable. The self is always coming through. So if you think you could just watch one video and all of a sudden hide your fear, it's like somebody who smells, who hasn't showered in weeks, and thinking they could put the deodorant and perfume to hide that. No, you're just going to smell horribly good, right? And not in a good way. So narcissists and manipulators are good at sensing fear, and they become more bold when you show it. They become more radical, right? So what they do then is that they use your fear to keep you on the defensive, right? You get self-absorbed. You are in a defensive position because you don't want to lose them. And what happens when you're in a defensive position, you stop reading people, and you stop being, and your ability to know who to be in reality, you get divorced from reality when you're deep in fear, because like I said, fear causes you to see the mental projections into the world, where the world looks completely safe, but fear activates your imagination, where you're going to begin to overlay your own imaginary fears out into the world. And so you stop reading people. You get disassociated from your body. You stop being aware of how you're coming across, and above all, you're not going to know why you're pushing people away. So the strategies that you develop trying to fix your relationship with the opposite sex, or just friends in general, they're never going to work, because you're not really seeing the problem here, right? You're in your own imagination, right? And also, even if you see the solution to the problem, because of your fear, your willpower lessens, and you're always going to be making threats of leaving a person, or even promising yourself you're not going to see them again. And because you keep breaking those promises, you lose respect for yourself, but also they lose respect for you. You know, and fear is all about, whenever somebody is afraid of losing a person, fear only talks. You're going to be somebody who only talks the talk, but never walks the walks. Threatens to leave, but never leaves. Says they're high value, but then they keep chasing after people who play them, right? So you're always walking around with fear, never really facing your fears. And because of that, you lose the capacity to feel fear and maintain a clarity of mind. And this is not good, because life is unpredictable. And if you are afraid of the unpredictable nature of life and in relationships, then you're gonna be every predator's dream, every predator's golden fruit, right? And so because you're avoiding fear, you're never really ever single. You never really learn to be alone, because that's a big fear that people have. You develop ways to avoid this feeling, right? We're always avoiding this emotion, and so this emotion has the most control over you. So we turn to distractions and relationships. These distractions become the ground that we walk on, right? And that's a lot of people, right? And a lot of people never really overcome their fears. For example, one of my fears, that's not like, for example, not in relationships, but it's very similar, was to sleep without smoking weed. That was a big fear that I used to have, because it was boring, right? And so I never allowed myself to just go to sleep sober, right? And one day I got tired of that. And one day I realized I was really afraid to do that. I didn't know how I was going to handle that. So we're going to talk about how to overcome fear, right? The first thing is that you got to develop a warrior's mindset. For example, when I was afraid of sleeping sober, I know it sounds crazy, but you'd be surprised. I decided to just stop being a little bitch. I said, you know what? I gotta be like a warrior. Confront this fear. Like, confront it like a warrior. And you develop like this warrior's mindset. You say, I am afraid, but I am going to confront it. I am sick of being the one that runs away. Seeing yourself as a warrior, as an emotional warrior, as a spiritual warrior, and taking on that identity and having the inner bravery to confront it, it doesn't take away the fear, but it does give you the willpower, which is what fear takes away from you, to confront it. And when you see this monster, this beast, and you look at it eyeball to eyeball, without flinching, without blinking, without looking away, what tends to happen is that you unintimidate yourself from this thing, because sometimes all you got to do is confront it. And it always gets smaller when you confront this fear. It's never up to the exaggerated proportions that your imagination is telling you this fear is. So that's one thing. Developing a warrior's mindset. And I did that. When I go to retreats, I say, I know I'm scared of dealing with this anxiety. It is scary. I'm not even gonna lie. But you push yourself and you just, you know what? I'm a warrior. I'm gonna confront this fear, as opposed to the passivity. Oh, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to. It's all about your attitude. Your attitude towards how you see this. It doesn't mean the fear goes away. It just means you have more bravery. I'm not kidding with you. It's as simple as that. You got to be tired of the bullshit. You got to be tired of always being beaten by this emotion. And once you do that, what happens? You can sense how this mindset changes the way you just like, fuck it. Like, you start acting in a way that's like, from your inner experience, you feel powerful, but from the outside, you come across as confident. It changes your nonverbal cues. It gives you like in war, it just increases your morale, which translates to how you move around. The next thing is that have a sense of honor and a sense of disgrace to yourself and those around you if you actually don't confront your fears. This is big for me, right? Because, for example, I go to retreats, and the first time I did the retreat, I wanted to get the fuck out. I really did, right? But because I didn't want to have to tell you guys I quit. But also, most importantly, I didn't want to lie that I did it and actually not do it. There was a sense of honor for myself. Even though nobody saw me, there was a sense of honor that I couldn't look myself in the mirror if I quit. I remember the thought of quitting. And then I imagine myself watching my TV and just thinking that I quit. And the sensation that I felt was anger. And in my imagination, I threw the remote on the TV. I was like, can I believe I fucking quit? Right? That sense of honor, that sense of self-respect allows you to overcome your fears. Especially if you have family members that are watching you, or if you have kids. You don't want your kids to know that you're a little bitch, that you're scared. You do it for them. You say, I want them to see me be strong. Like Napoleon. One of the things that made Napoleon such a leader was the fact that when he was in war, he didn't just stay in the background. No, he went in the front lines, put himself at risk of dying. And when his soldiers saw that, they called him El Petit Capitan, right? The small captain. But they loved him because he was brave. Napoleon said many times that he was scared shitless. He was scared when he did that, but he did that because he wanted his soldiers to see him to take that risk, to see that he's also fearless. Fearlessness is lost. Your fear is lost when you know that you have to be brave for somebody else. And a lot of you guys, for example, like I have a lot of people who watch my channel who are single dads, for example, right? And a lot of them say that they fixed their dating lives for their kids. They didn't want their kids seeing them get played by the opposite sex because they wanted it to give a good example, right? And even with my female clients, a lot of clients end up leaving the person because they want to give their kids a good example, honor for the other people watching you. And a lot of people are watching you, and if they see you acting like a little bitch, not being able to leave a relationship all because you don't want to be alone, they lose respect for you. They just do, right? So one of the ways to actually overcome the fear is to do it for somebody else. Maybe somebody's watching you, and maybe you want to show them a good example. Maybe it's yourself, that you call yourself confident, but you're doing this. Do it for yourself. Like me, I honestly, like I said, I wanted to leave all the time in those retreats. I just didn't leave because I just couldn't look myself in the mirror. That chick who had her boyfriend, let me tell you something, people. This girl is honestly is physically my type. I'm not even kidding with you. It's that she was physically my type. Everything that I like in a girl, she had. Well, I don't know why when I say that I go like that, go to this area, right? But it's true, right? And God, it hurt having to say no. It's like looking at like a honeycomb and saying, no, honeycomb, I don't want your tasty, Jesus Christ. But you have to do that because you have to have a sense of honor for yourself. Living in fear means you have no sense of honor. I'm sorry. Like, you have no sense of honor for yourself, and you don't respect how other people see you. When you stop doing things for yourself and you do things to be a positive example for people around you, you'll notice that you become fearless. There's a certain fearlessness that you have when you know other people are watching you. That's one thing. Like, it's not going to be easy confronting your fears. The sense of honor allows you to keep walking despite you shitting bricks at the end of the day. It doesn't mean that you're not afraid. It means that your fear does not control your actions. It means that you're able to push through the fear despite the dark fog of emotions that's surrounding you. And through that, you develop the tolerance for more fear. Fear never goes away. It's just that it doesn't affect you. You just keep pushing through. In fact, the more afraid you are, the more you go towards that direction. Now, what else can you do outside of confrontation? Because confrontation is the way to do it, right? There's no magic pill for this. You got to learn to be alone. Like, going to retreats forces you to be alone, forces you to confront yourself, and you're nervous while you're doing it, but you just still do it. A lot of people think that in order to take action, you got to take away the fear. No, the fear goes away as you take action. The more you're exposing yourself, the more you notice you're still alive, the less fear you're going to have from that situation. And it's all about confronting them. It never goes away, right? And what happens, like I said, is that your nonverbal changes. Your nonverbal cues changes. But when you don't confront your fears, people will sense that and people will just start taking advantage of you. They're going to look stronger than they really are. And in your mind, you're going to perceive yourself weaker than you really are. And that's going to change the whole dynamics with the opposite sex, where they have more power than you do. And it's all because you're giving it away. And the thing is, a lot of times fear operates unconsciously, where you don't want to admit to yourself that you feel fear. So you actually misinterpret the feeling for anxiety, misinterpret the feeling for nepotism, misinterpret the feeling for, you know what, I really don't want it, with laziness. The truth is, you are afraid. You are afraid of being alone. You are afraid of feeling those emotions when somebody leaves you. You are afraid of disappointment. Confront that motherfucker. It's not that big. That thing you could destroy. You could slay that dragon. You just have to look at it. It does not like eye contact. Fear does not like eye contact. Look at your fears. Spend time with your fears, and you'll notice what you're afraid of is really of your own potential. I sound like such a motivational speaker. You're afraid of your own potential, right? And that's how you do it, man. Develop a meditation practice. Like when you develop a meditation practice, it's gonna be easy to confront fears. In fact, your fears might lessen with a meditation practice. It really does. So if you want to learn how to do that, you guys can purchase that book called, let me get it here. I always have it here. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. You could check out my course, Emotional Mastery. And I'm actually, my course, since it's been a year out, we're putting it for $99. Honestly, I went to the retreat and I just felt like the Buddha was telling me, lower the price to Lexus. I was like, all right, Buddha, fucking Buddha the economist here. But yeah, we're lowering to $99, and you guys can order it now. It's gonna be almost a year with that course. Or you guys can go to a meditation retreat by going to dharma.org, DHAMMA.org, and there you go. It's a donation-based retreat. Okay. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We should be having more content this week. And for those who purchase my courses, just to let you guys know we're working on it. It should be out not the end of this month, man. Hopefully by the end of the month. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care. All right, guys, we're going to have a brief intermission so that I can tell you guys about our new bundle that we're doing, where you guys can purchase all of my courses and get it at a discount. So this bundle is pretty much the bundle where you could just buy all of my courses. You could buy Nice Guy, which is a training course on how to come across more assertive, how to come across more confident, how to not give off nice guy vibes. You guys can get access to Dark Game, which is my full dating course on how to meet women in different scenarios, how to attract women, how to make sure you don't come across as creepy, and essentially how to act like a man and not act like a doofus, to be quite honest with you. And you get all of these bonuses, which is the bonuses of Dark Game, the bonuses of Practical Mastery, which is about how to master a skill, Social Mastery, which is how to master your social life, and the Laws of Human Nature, which is a book club videos that I had dissecting Robert Greene's book. All of this is naturally at around naturally is at $346, but you guys can purchase this bundle and get it at what's the price again? Get it at $238 pretty much. So you guys can purchase it right now. It's a money back 30-day money back guarantee. It's a good way to, rather than just buying them individually and paying extra, you guys can just purchase everything at a discount price. Now, the only thing I don't like is the fact that I'm giving you a lot of information at the same time. That makes me kind of scared, because a lot of times people don't do the things that I teach when you get too much information. But I've gotten too many requests to do this, so I'm just satisfying you guys. Purchase it right now by clicking on the description down below where it says purchase the bundle. All right, let's continue with the video.